If you are engaged or hope to be engaged and married one day, I'm going to be sharing with you all of the things I wish I knew before getting engaged as I'm heading towards marriage, as I have learned so much so far. I got engaged on July 8th of this year and I'm getting married on December 31st of this year as well. Over the past few months, I have learned so much that I didn't expect for this season. Good things, bad things, ugly things, everywhere in between. And I want to save you some heartache by telling you the lessons that I've learned before you go through them yourself. I'm coming to you live this morning with very wet hair from my shower and got my Disney sweatshirt on and definitely shorts and workout clothes. So not dressed super cute or anything, but so I've got some notes on my phone of just things I wanted to share. This is a video that I asked you guys if you wanted to see on Instagram. If you're not following me there, I'll put my handle below. I sometimes will put Instagram stories up and like poll what videos you guys want to see. It just kind of helps me figure out what to focus on. The video that I posted on Wednesday is the one that most people voted for, which is about deciding not to go to medical school. And this video is the other one that I shared that a lot of people did want to see about engagement and what I learned. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with the negative things first. I like to go from low to high to end on a high note. That's what we do in our small group. We start with lows and then we say our highs for the week. And then of course we'll do a poppy pause in between because I love my poppy pauses. Also a little disclaimer, I'm a Christian, so this video is going to be from a Christian perspective. I'm going to talk about things like spiritual attack, sexual temptation, all of these things are going to come from a Christian perspective. Just take that with a grain of salt. I hope you still stick around to watch the video and learn something from it. My last disclaimer before we get started is that my fiance and I, Justin, who you guys know, are probably going to make another video about what we collectively as a couple have learned during engagement. I'm hoping to film that with him like the week before we get married, just reflecting on our engagement season and sharing things that we've learned as a couple, because I'm sure we'll learn so much more over the next 2 months as well. So that will be coming. I'm going to try to share things that aren't necessarily involving him a lot, but obviously these are lessons we're learning together. So it will be things that he's also learned, but I want you guys to hear from his perspective later too. So let's get into it. The first thing I'll share, which I think is the most important thing that I've learned and also was the most surprising, I would say, is that engagement has definitely been a season of spiritual attack. So when I say a season of spiritual attack, I don't mean that to scare anyone, but if you follow Jesus, know that when you have the Holy Spirit in you and you are a believer in Christ, you definitely can become a target for the enemy. I'd always viewed marriage as more of a spiritually vulnerable time, which sounds kind of weird, but hear me out. I had been told that, the enemy likes to attack Christian marriage, right? If a Christian marriage is made up of two individuals, husband and wife, who are super solid in their faith and they're coming together as one, think about how powerful that is for God's kingdom and think about how much they can do together and how God can use them. That's a threat to the enemy, right? And so I always had thought marriage is what the enemy wants to attack, right? Because that is such a well-resourced union. If he attacks a Christian marriage, he can take out so many things that God wanted to do, right? But I never really thought about engagement and an engaged couple being a spiritually vulnerable couple. And honestly, we just weren't prepared for the spiritual warfare that's happened during our engagement season. Honestly, I think we'll probably get into more details of that later, but it definitely has been a very heavy season spiritually where we've been under spiritual attack, especially right when we got engaged back in July. We went through a lot of crazy relational stuff and just weird things that were happening all the time to where we realized a couple weeks in, I think we're being attacked, which in a weird way was kind of flattering of oh, we are that much of a threat to the enemy. God is using us and doing good things through us, that would be some sort of a threat to him. But it's not fun. Definitely grew us a lot. And again, we will speak to that in a whole separate video at some point, I'm sure. But just be aware, if you follow Jesus and you're about to get engaged or you just got engaged, just know that it is a time where you could experience more spiritual attack and more spiritual warfare. Just be aware, be prayerful, be in community, talking to your significant other about these things and what you're experiencing in your personal walk with God, in your walk with God as a couple. Honestly, really blindsided us. And it wasn't until a month or so of experiencing that attack that we really took ownership of it and we're okay, we need to be really intentional in prayer and really intentional in being honest with our community so they can be praying for us too. And where we're at right now is we feel so much more grounded. We feel we're out of that season of direct spiritual attack, but just know that if you are a Christian who is going through a season of engagement or about to be engaged. Okay, next thing. Also a fun topic. We're just gonna get all the heavy hitters out there right now. Sexual temptation. So I know I've teased at us making videos about why we're saving sex for marriage and our boundaries and things like that. I promise those are coming soon. We've been trying to find a good time that works for both of us to sit down and really thoughtfully talk about these things because they're heavier topics. So we want to make sure that we're both in a good headspace before we do that, but they are coming soon, I promise. When you've got a Christian couple who is walking with the Lord and is trying to adhere to biblical sexual ethics, which for us looks like saving sex for marriage marriage and honoring sexual intimacy in the marriage covenant, meaning that we are not going to be engaging in sexual things outside of marriage. As you get closer to being married, you are getting closer to being able to have sex, and it can make boundaries harder. One thing that we did before we got engaged that I wasn't even planning for but has helped us so much with this is we actually made our physical boundaries stricter right before we got engaged. Now, I didn't know we were getting engaged because he proposed a couple weeks after we did this, but we had certain physical boundaries and they were really solid boundaries and we were keeping them. We were like, towing that line a little bit. We decided in late June to actually scale those back just as a preventative measure to keep temptation from getting the best of us. So we'll share what those boundaries are with you guys in our boundaries video coming up, but I really can't recommend it enough. If you know yourself well and you know that you and your partner are super attracted to each other and your sex drives are high and you're trying to save sex for marriage, go ahead and just scale it back a little bit physically, because the engagement season definitely will tempt you. You are planning this wedding together, you're booking your honeymoon, and you're buying a bed frame and a mattress and all these things that are making you think about marriage, and you think about living together and having sex, which are wonderful, great things. But when you're trying to wait, it's definitely harder when you're surrounded by all of these things. So I will say, thank God we did that. I cannot recommend it enough. My boundaries didn't change drastically. It was just slightly enough to where we are keeping ourselves out of certain situations that could lead to other situations, if that makes sense. So yes, for us, thankfully, engagement has not been that tempting of a season. And I really, really credit that to changing that boundary just slightly. Other difficult things that I wasn't expecting with engagement is friendship changes. So I have had a lot of friendship conflict in engagement season, and I won't go into details about that, just to honor the privacy of those situations and to honor those friends and just myself. It definitely has been a very trying season for friendships. You have certain relationships with friends and you're really close with them, and you're getting engaged and you're pursuing marriage. Those relationships are going to look different, and like the time you can spend with those people and communication, the nature of that relationship looks like, and it can be really hard. It's been a big point of growth for both myself and a lot of my friends to communicate through these things, to go through conflict if needed, to figure out what a new normal is for friendships. But I'm really thankful that so many of my friends have been very honest and transparent with me if they've been frustrated with me about something, and just coming forward and having healthy conversations about that. I've definitely had not the best situations happen as well, and there have been friendships that don't look the same anymore already, and that's hard. And that's something I wasn't fully expecting, but talking to some married friends, they're like, yeah, I lost a lot of friends during engagement because you kind of know who are your people and who aren't. And that sucks, for lack of a better word. Like, I'm the kind of person where I want to have a million friends and want to be super close with all of them, but that's just not possible. You can only have so many close ties. And so, yeah, it is kind of a pruning season where you see like, who are the people who are there for you. I'm not a person that likes to say like, oh, this person's toxic, like cut them out of your life. I just don't think that's very kind and gracious, but it is a season where you can really figure out what your boundaries are with people and whether or not the relationship is healthy for you, healthy for them, healthy for both of y'all. Yeah, that's all to say that I wasn't expecting friendships to change as much as they have during engagement, and I'm getting used to it. I think my friends are getting used to it as well. Losing friends is really hard. Having friendships drastically change is really hard. Honestly, this is just kind of what happens as you get older. Like, I've already had friends change in different seasons of life, and it can be a really beautiful thing and a very restorative thing. And so I think viewing friendship changes as a natural part of the process of going through a major life change, like getting engaged and getting married, that has helped me take a lot of the like blame and shame out of it and getting mad at myself. Obviously, there are situations where you need to take responsibility and ownership for hurt that you have brought to a friendship, but blaming yourself for every little thing is not very helpful either when friendships do change when you're engaged. So just something to keep in mind. Honestly, there's so much I could talk about. I have a very long list. I might just pick like 3 things in like the not great category and 3 things in the positive category, because I could talk forever about this, and I've already been recording for a while. So I will save these other things for the video with Justin later, but I think we should go ahead and take a poppy pause. You guys know all those videos where the girls like do their morning routine and stuff, and they're like tap, 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 tap. I know some people think they're annoying, but I actually love them. Like, ASMR type videos make me so happy. I definitely follow some YouTube accounts and people on Instagram that make those kind of videos, and it's very satisfying and calming for me. So let me know if you like that kind of stuff. I also love my long nails, so I'm like tap, tap, tap whenever I pick up my stuff. I'm like, okay, anyways. Okay, so we've got a poppy pause, of course. This is the classic cola flavor, which I love. I am not a huge soda person, but I love sparkling drinks. Justin has got me very into like sparkling water and sparkling drinks. Usually sodas don't sit super well with me. I'll only really reach for a Diet Coke or something if I feel nauseous, my stomach's kind of upset, like that's my cure-all, is some sort of fizzy drink. But I love poppy drinks. Again, poppy. If this YouTube channel ever grows, please sponsor me. I would love to promote your products. You also are Texas made, so I love that. Anyways, okay, Poppy Pause for today is gonna be about the biggest debate of all time. It's so controversial, it's awful. When does Christmas start? When does the Christmas season start? I usually poll this on Instagram every year because I'm always curious. I want to see who gets really feisty about this. Today is currently October 27th, which means Halloween is in 4 days. And then November 1st is next Wednesday, I think. And you have so many people who break out into this war over Christmas starts November 1st. Christmas starts after Thanksgiving. Where do you stand? Comment below. I'll let you know a secret emoji at the end of the video because you gotta watch till the end to get access to the secret emoji, and then you can be like the cool kids and comment it in the comments. Let me tell you where I stand on this debate. Growing up, we had Thanksgiving at my uncle's house every year. Sometimes we went to the other side of the family's ranch in Texas, which is actually where we're going this year. Super excited. But usually it was at my uncle's house in Houston. And usually right after leaving the meal or the next day on Black Friday, we would all go together, pick out our live Christmas tree down the street from where we grew up. We went to the same place every year, like Cornelius Flowers or something like that. We always waited until after Thanksgiving to go get the tree, but we would go pick it up and we would put all the lights on it and all the ornaments, and we would decorate it like that 25th or whatever of November, like right after Thanksgiving. And I loved it. It was such a fun tradition. It was so much fun, and we always waited until after Thanksgiving. Now, that's not to say we didn't start decorating before then, because definitely once Halloween was over, we took that next week or so to take all our Halloween decorations down, which we definitely had up because we were those fun kids that wanted all the cobwebs and spiders and gravestones by our house. But we put all that away, and then we slowly started fading in all of our Christmas decorations around our house. November was like this really fun blend between like fall decorations, but Halloween went away right away, still fall decorations, and then Christmas decorations creeping in. And that is honestly where I stand on this debate. I am totally fine with Christmas starting on November 1st. I'm like, why hold back on the most amazing season of the year when you could start it early? Also, Halloween doesn't last past October 31st, and there aren't really Thanksgiving decorations. And also, why can't you just combine Thanksgiving decorations with Christmas decorations? Because we're still in fall. No one's saying we're not in fall anymore in November. We're just getting ready for the Christmas season. Because once you get to December, it's like full steam ahead chaos, and I want to enjoy the Christmas season, be slow about it, take it all in, all the things. So that is where I stand. I'm a fan of slow fade into Christmas, and then after Thanksgiving, we full steam ahead, chaotic Christmas, everything. But this year I'm gonna be slightly different because we are getting married on New Year's Eve, which means December is gonna be chaos. So Justin and I have decided we're going to put up our tree next weekend, which will be November 3rd or 4th. And before you come at me, I know it's so early, but we're going home for a week over Thanksgiving. We come back and it's my birthday, one of my good friends' weddings, bridal shower, finals, going to DC for school, all these things back to back to back, then Christmas. I don't really have a free weekend to put up the tree and like take the time to decorate it and make it all cute and make it a whole event and fun and not like rush through it. So we decided that this is the weekend we're gonna do it. We're gonna be those crazy people who decorate super early, and we're gonna own it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Poppy, unpause. All right, let's get into some of the positive, good things that I've learned in engagement. I guess these are all positive, good things, but more of the like fun, uplifting things to look forward to besides like sexual temptation. One of my favorite experiences I've had in engagement so far is the sense of security that it's brought has been so sweet. I mean, Justin and I knew pretty early on that we wanted to get married. We watched our other videos in that series, I'll link them down below, about like how we knew the other person was the one, all of that. But we've known since, yeah, super early on, and we started talking about marriage like 3 months into our relationship. And so I knew that he was gonna be the person I was gonna marry. I knew within the first week of knowing him, but actually publicly declaring that we are engaged to be married, and him actually getting down on one knee and asking me that question, and that being a line in the sand between dating and engagement, it just brings a new level of security in the relationship that wasn't there before. Like any conflicts that we had beforehand, I would get so nervous, like, oh my goodness, are we gonna break up? Is this the end? Because I've never been engaged before, and any conflicts I've had with past guys I've dated have usually ended up in a breakup. And so that's been a huge learning curve for both of us to realize that conflict doesn't mean breaking up, that fighting can be normal and good and healthy if you go about it the right way and communicate through it appropriately. Engagement's just really brought about this nice security, knowing like, okay, my person is not leaving. They decided to pursue marriage with me for sure, and any conflict that comes just doesn't feel as weighty, which I would say is the second thing that I've learned, is that I feel so much less scared of conflict. Like conflict just doesn't feel as big of a deal now that we're engaged. It definitely happens more often. We have fought so much more being engaged than just dating, But at the same time, I feel like we resolve conflict a lot faster. We resolve it more smoothly, more healthfully, just have that security, right? We know the other person's not going anywhere. We have evidence of getting through past conflicts well, and that growing our relationship and making us healthier and better. And so it just doesn't feel as scary, which is really nice. And then I would say the last thing that has been so sweet about engagement is the emotional and spiritual intimacy that we have grown. Justin has always felt like someone that I've known forever. I mean, from the first week that I knew him, I felt like I had known him for a very long time, and us having dated only 10 months, I feel like I've known him for 5 years at this point, just because of how much time we've spent getting to know each other so intimately, and going through hard things together really brings you closer to someone. And so we have gone through a lot together as a couple that I'm sure one day we might share, just things that we haven't even come close to talking about online, but we've gone through a lot, and especially a lot during our engagement season. It has made us so close. Like, he is my best friend. I love him so much. I feel like I know him so well, and vice versa, and I know what matters to his heart and what his fears are and all of the things, and he knows all of that about me. Like, I feel like I know this guy really well, and I can't wait to see how much closer we feel once we're married and like living together, and just the intimacy that will come with that. I told him last night, I was like, I can't wait for how close we're gonna feel. Our lives are enmeshed together, still, you know, having our independence and everything, but we are gonna be codependent on each other in a way. Like, that's kind of what marriage is, healthfully, right? And I just can't wait for that level of intimacy. I think it's gonna be so sweet and such a beautiful image of Christ and his church and his love for us. And yeah, I could talk about it for so long, but I'm so excited, and I feel like we've gotten a really sweet taste of that intimacy in engagement, the emotional closeness, and growing the spiritual part of our relationship. We just are so much closer than we were in dating because we have that security. We trust each other very deeply. Conflict doesn't feel as scary. All of these things have just kind of worked together to bring us so much closer and to make us feel a lot more prepared for marriage. So that is what I have learned in engagement so far. Again, so many other things I could share with y'all, and I will share with y'all later, but I hope you found that video helpful. If you are also engaged, or maybe almost engaged, or just want to be married one day, I wish I had known these things in advance, especially the first half of this video, talking about more of the negative or like harder things with engagement. So yeah, let me know if it was helpful down below. Our secret emoji is going to be a Christmas tree, because y'all know where I stand now with the whole November 1st versus post-Thanksgiving Christmas debacle. All right, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a lovely weekend. I will see you in Monday's video. Bye.